Today I'm going to show you how to make this amazing orange, cranberry, pecan bundt cake, and the secret, extra virgin Spanish olive oil. So delicious and so much healthier than you'd ever think possible for a cake this delicious. Okay, let's get started. First thing is to toast some pecans, and toasted pecans, by the way, are one of my favorite things to snack on. So instead of measuring out the approximate cup I'll be using, I'm just going to pour out most of the bag because these are excellent, excellent snacking material. All right, that's good. Just spread them out on the sheet, and then we're gonna pop it into the oven at 350 F or 177 C for about, like 8 minutes or so. You want them to be nice and golden brown, like even more golden brown than they are now, and they'll be fragrant. You'll be able to smell them. But if you toast them too long, they become bitter, so keep an eye out. Pecans are out of the oven, the pan is just cool enough to touch, and I want to show you the difference between a toasted pecan and a non-toasted pecan. I wish you could taste the difference, but try the recipe, you can get that done. So can you tell which one is toasted? It's this one. Nice, reddish, so fragrant. Whenever you use nuts in a recipe, you gotta toast them first. Just do it for me, it makes a huge difference. These will now get chopped, but this is actually way easier. Just take a handful, crunch. This is now an ASMR video. So you want to have just like, different sized pieces. I think this is so much easier than chopping them. If you get one that's not crushed, just crush it individually. This I find very relaxing, so tactile. Okay, after you've crushed all of your pecans, we're gonna measure out about a cup, but if you are a nut lover like me, go ahead and use like a cup and a half, go to town. Once you've crushed about a cup of pecans, just, double check to make sure. Maybe you're a little bit under. If you're a little bit over, it doesn't matter. These guys are for snacking, set them aside. Now we're going to dump this into a small bowl and just dredge it with a little bit of flour. Take about a tablespoon, maybe a little bit less. Just sprinkle it around and now mix it up. This will help, but not solve the problem of heavy things settling in the batter, because the flour will basically trap some air around the pecans and the cranberries when we do this as well, and it'll be settling a little bit more slowly during the baking so it all won't fall to the bottom. Word to the wise. Set that aside, and now we're going to do the same thing for the cranberries. Take about a cup. If you hate cranberries, you don't have to put them in. Skip it. You could also do dried cherries, whatever you'd like. Dredge them in flour again, so just sprinkle, little toss. If you have some clumps of dried cherries, just break them up. These look pretty good. Set it aside, and now it's time to work on our easy breezy batter. By the by, keep that oven on at 350, but don't grease your bundt pan yet. I had a total catastrophe. I'll put the video in, like a little insert to show you, but I was recipe testing for this and I didn't lubricate my pans sufficiently. They were glued in there. It was horrible. The cake tasted nice, but it was like a hot mess. Totally not usable for photography at all. Now to the batter. Into my standing mixer, fitted with a whisk attachment, I'm adding in 1.5 cups of sugar. In you go. Then we're gonna add in 5 whole eggs. Just dump them in. Bloop. And now we're going to zest an orange. I'm also gonna add in just a little bit of lemon zest because I like that punch. That's optional though, and if you wanna go crazy, add more orange zest in. I am an orange zest fanatic. Whenever you zest any citrus fruit, the best thing to do is have a nice sharp zester. I get so many questions about like, how do you make zesting look so easy? It's just because the zester is sharp. And I've said this before, but I'll tell you again, I've bought zesters fresh out of the packaging and they are dull as dirt. It's so annoying. This beautiful zest, love the color, and it's just packed with orange oil, so it's so fragrant. And of course, I know you know this, but you always zest before you juice. It's not impossible to zest half of an orange, but it's so much more difficult, and you run the risk of really cutting yourself. So that's done. Just a little bit of lemon zest too. I love lemon zest. Now, we're gonna mix this up for like almost 10 minutes. It's gonna go from being this just pile of eggs and sugar and zest into a like very thick, fluffy concoction. Not thick and fluffy like meringue, but like considerably thicker and fluffier. So whisk, start low, go to high, and just, it'll be running for almost 10 minutes. Time it. While that's mixing up, we're gonna juice our orange. I probably need like 2 oranges for 3/4 of a cup. Strainer. Let's measure that out. Good. 3/4 of a cup and plus a little bit extra for my glaze. So this mixture is pretty light and fluffy. It actually has a few more minutes to go, but do you see the difference? This is like very thick, full of tiny little air bubbles, just how we want it. But in the meantime, let's mix up our dry mixture. It's super easy. 3 cups or 360 grams of all-purpose flour right into there. Our scale will totally be helping us do this. 360 grams. 1 tablespoon of baking powder, in you go. And half a teaspoon of salt. That's it. Sift it up and we'll whisk it up. All right, now we're gonna finish up 3 more minutes. 9 minutes later, mixa mixa. Here's what's gonna happen. Some sour cream goes in here, mixed to combine. But first, let's add our 3/4 of a cup of fresh orange juice back into that bowl. And where is that like delicious, wonderful texture, that's like soft cakiness gonna come from? It's coming from a wonderful extra virgin olive oil. This one comes from olive oils from Spain. I love the smell. It's really just like everything you want olive oil to be. So let's drizzle that in there. We want 1 full cup of olive oil for this cake. This might be one of the healthiest cakes I've ever made, because all that extra virgin olive oil is such a good fat for you. It's not artery clogging. It's really like just the perfect balance. That's why I love cooking with olive oil, but you can also bake with it too. So this one is gonna be a delightful, delicious, but healthy cake. Pour that in there. Let's add that half cup of sour cream right in there. If you don't have sour cream, you can use plain yogurt, or if you want to make this a non-dairy cake, just add in an extra half cup of the extra virgin olive oil from Spain. Okay, mix. Now we're gonna pour in our olive oil and orange juice mixture. That was very fast, very fast. I was like, now, on slow, we're gonna pour in our olive oil and orange juice mixture. Notice there's no splatters. Perfect. Okay, we have our dry mixture, so while this mix is on low, we're just gonna add this in slowly. I'm gonna use my hands to guide it. And let me just tell you, you need to put olive oil in everything. Super high in antioxidants, rich in monounsaturated fats, has anti-inflammatory purposes, and it's delicious. Look at this. We have a delicious, very nice liquidy batter. What you want to do is get all of that zest off of the whisk, because that's the best part. I love zest. We're almost done with our batter and almost done with the cake. It's so easy. If you want, you can add in a teaspoon of orange blossom water to really up the orange ante here. I will be doing that since I love oranges. It's like about a teaspoon. We have 1 cup of chopped and floured and toasted pecans, not in that order. Just toss those in. And 1 cup of not chopped but floured and untoasted dried cranberries. Before I mix them up, I'm gonna make sure to get this situation all nice and slippery. I'm using some baking spray. So just really, really hit it. Get that column too. You don't want to have any bits that are not slippery. It needs to be really slippery to come out of the pan. You know what? I'm gonna cheat just a little bit on this cake and be tricky. I'm reserving some of the batter with almost none of the nuts. You can do this beforehand, before you pour everything in there. Now I'm gonna put this in the pan and really get it into those crevices. The nuts and the cranberries, if they're falling at the bottom of the pan, they might take up some space in the batter, and you want this to have like a very beautiful edge. So let's just drizzle that on to the very bottom. Now I'm gonna knock this really hard on the counter, but I'm gonna put, there's some towel underneath so I don't damage the counter. It's very delicate soapstone. If you wanna be a little bit extra, go ahead and just push down to really make sure that batter is coating. And I'm pushing the batter out towards the crevices too. Now, just fold in those nuts that have been sitting there along with the cranberries. This batter smells just bonkers. Oh my gosh, I wish you could smell it. It's so unexpected to have the really beautiful, like fragrant, like just so subtle, the olive oil fragrance, but it's combining with the orange in just an amazing way. Amazing, I tell you. Okay, that's nice and folded. You're gonna fill this up about maybe 2/3 of the way because there will be rising happening. And that's actually fine. Okay. And now I'll have enough batter left over for 6 mini bunts, or I think you can actually make 2 of these. The big bunt pans are gargantuan and they bake forever, so I like the next size down. Give this one more tap. That's gonna bake up for about 40 minutes. If you're making the giant bunt, 50 minutes to an hour. Move it around like 180 degrees halfway through baking, and then keep an eye on it towards the end because it's gonna go from being like perfectly done to perfectly done, but really caramelized on the outside. And some people are very finicky, some people like me are finicky about how burnt their cake looks. I do like the way it tastes though, especially on a bunt, because there's a little bit of crunchiness on the outside. The inside is very soft and pillowy, and the glaze we're gonna make for the outside has a little bit of crunch too, especially when it hardens. While everything's baking, I'm gonna make some glaze. Now, I'm assuming this doesn't have a double glaze recipe because I made a lot of cakes, but let's start off with 1 cup-ish of confectioner sugar. You could sift that if you want, but it'll all work out in the end. Now, I'm gonna drizzle in some of my orange juice. Very exact recipe, about some of, but you're gonna be adding more and less of each ingredient to get the right consistency. And this is gonna look like a mess to begin with. Like, it's just gonna form a glop, and then it'll all tighten up in the end. If you want your glaze to be a beautiful color, try adding in some raspberry juice or blood oranges for a nice soft millennial pink. I'm fine with like a nice kind of paper off-white color for the orange. So this is actually like a pretty nice drizzling consistency, but I think I want a thicker drip, so just add more confectioner sugar. There we go. That confectioner sugar is like basically all air, so once you introduce a liquid, it just like compresses to nothing. So here's the gloppy mess I was talking about, but this will all get worked out. You have to give it basically a second just for all that like confectioner sugar to absorb the liquid from the orange juice, and then it'll loosen back up again. But if it doesn't, you can add in some more juice. And I think I'm actually gonna add just a bit of lemon juice here. I really like my glaze to have like an acid kick because it's all sugar, so you wanna have a contrast. So a little bit of mixing later, we have a nice glaze, and this is the dripping consistency I like. You can see it's gonna form like a nice ribbon just for a moment before it oozes back into itself. That's gonna be perfect for that kind of like sexy glaze that we wanna have at the end of it. Oh, love it. I'm gonna warn you though, this will dry out really quickly, so I'm gonna cover it in plastic wrap and just understand that I'll be adding in some more lemon juice before I'm ready to pour, because even covered, it will dry out and thicken up. My little mini buns are out of the oven, and I'm just gonna trim the very topmost fluffy part, but just on the inside. That's for snacking later. I just want to have the doming a little bit under control, but this is actually optional. All right, cooling rack, and we'll flip them over. Carefully, because this pan is super hot. These are a nice golden color, lots of cranberries are visible, and I'm gonna let them cool down before I glaze them. So don't eat them right away. Even though they're really delicious, you just pull them apart and dip them in that glaze. Don't do that. This cake just came out of the oven a minute ago, and normally you might wanna have a bundt cake rest for like 5 minutes in the pan just because it's so tender right out of the oven, but I'm feeling very impatient today and cocky, so let's see how this goes. Flip it under, and do you think it's gonna be okay? Should I check it out? Ah, look at that. This is gorgeous. Beautiful, I love it. Really aromatic. I'm gonna let this cool down since it's steaming up. But right after it's cool, I can drizzle over some beautiful orange and lemon glaze, and then get to eating. Pouring all of this really zingy glaze over my cake. You can just douse it in the glaze or be sparing if you want. It's really delicious just right out of the oven, but the glaze is such a nice little finishing top, and I love it. If you mix up a really thin glaze, it'll all just soak into the cake and kind of disappear. If you do a really thick glaze, you'll have that like nice white strip. I actually did 2 glazings because my first one looked beautiful on camera, as you can see, but then it all soaked in. So I did a thicker one to have that nice white contrast for all my photos I'll be taking. I've been dying to have this piece of cake, except that's a lie because I've been snacking my little heart out on these mini buns I made. Remember those? I didn't forget about them. They're delicious too, and so small. Look at this. Let me break this open for you. What? What? Cranberries, pecans? Like, is there magic inside of this? Why does it taste so good? Okay, here's the deal. That olive oil, that extra virgin Spanish olive oil, so good. All that zest in there, totally a good idea. Every glaze you make should have orange and or lemon juice in it. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you liked the video. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. Hit that subscribe button and press like.